Let me make sure I'm online. Okay. Hello, I'm Alex from A.P.Ink. So today I had an idea that I wanted to play with. I have some references both in picture form and physical. Um, so okay. Um, I don't know. I got into some kind of rabbit hole and I was looking at pictures of what started it is I've got these colored pencils. They're brown tone. So there's like uh, pink tones and kind of more yellow toned uh, brown colored pencils. And I've been trying to figure, I mean, you could use them for like portraits and whatnot, but I'm not much for portraits. So I've been trying to figure how, like, what to draw with them. So I kind of went down a rabbit hole for looking at like pyramids and hieroglyphs. And I was gonna do like a pyramid landscape, but then I was thinking it might be kind of neat to try to do like a hieroglyph tablet because I've been to a museum in New York City that had a full exhibit. Like you, I don't know if it was a replica or if it was an actual part of a pyramid. It was probably a replica, except that they had plexiglass in front of portions of the hieroglyphs to protect it. Um, but I was thinking if you look at if you've seen any like documentaries, um but some of the hieroglyphs are like it's sheared off. So it makes me think that I don't know if this is like um almost like the Last Supper where it's a fresca. So maybe they spread a thin coat and then pressed stamps in. I'm sure if I actually spent more time looking into it, that this, I think they've determined that this has been carved, but I was thinking I could use this box as like a reference for depth and actually try to create kind of a um like a fresca. I'm sorry, I'm not really explaining what I want to do here, but I want to try to lay out like a panel in perspective using this box as reference to start with to try to create almost like a fresca panel, and then I'm going to try to put in um hieroglyphs. So I'm going to, instead of starting with a pencil, I'm going to use a dark colored pencil. I got deepest almond here. And I think instead of having it straight on, I'm going to have it a bit more like sideways. because I want to try to get like the depth of the box. Hello. So I'm gonna use the corners as like the 2-point perspective. So I'm gonna try to really lightly start the lines for where the edge, the visible edge, is gonna be. I am gonna try to rough up the edge so it doesn't look like it was just cut out, but that it's actually like broken off. Try and give the indication that it's not a completely like straight edge, aside from kind of feathering it here and there, but to make it look like it's broken. Honestly, I'm not sure this is gonna come out the way I have it in my head, but we'll find out. Yes. I'm trying to create something that maybe looks like a thin piece of stone that maybe has fallen off. You missed my ramblings just a minute ago. Hello. It's going okay. How about you? My perspective might be a bit wonky here. I think I'm gonna go with it anyway. Um, so I've got these brown tone colored pencils and I've been trying to come up with a project to use them in. And from there, I was looking up references for pyramids to potentially do like a desert landscape. But from there, I kind of went down a rabbit hole and thought maybe it would be neat to try to create a piece of stone that fell off and still had hieroglyphs on it. So that's what I'm trying to create here. Like I've seen documentaries that say that these are all carved in, but I was thinking um if you've like here where the stone has fallen off, what if not all of this is carved? What if some of it is almost like stamped? Like maybe they put a thin layer of um clay or something and stamped it. So it would almost be like a fresca. If you've ever seen The Last Supper, that's a fresca. So that's just a thin layer of plaster that they painted on. Okay. Again, I think my perspective is kind of wonky, but maybe rough up the edge a bit more here so it doesn't look like it's just a square. But make it look like it's fallen off from something. I think if you look hard enough, you can actually find dictionaries of what all of these symbols are supposed to mean. But I'm thinking of maybe trying to recreate one of these ovals with the symbols in it. Maybe this bird, and then maybe one of these characters Maybe this one. I It's been a while. I think I think raw is the one with the bird head. I'll probably have to look that up specific, but we're gonna start here. Yeah, they are ancient emojis. Okay, so to try and, because you can clearly see that they've created grooves here, potentially, in my uninformed opinion, probably to try to keep it in line. So I'm gonna try to do that here. I don't know, I'm just trying to decide if I want the lines to go that way or more kind of like kitty corner or parallel to the edge that I've made here. Because if I had the line a bit more kind of crooked, it could help make it look like there's more missing. I think I forgot to say this is sketchbook paper that I'm using. I think I'm gonna try to measure this out. I'm gonna say maybe 3 inches. So by that, there might be 2 lines. So there's columns, but they haven't like um it's just columns. There's no indications like crossways. But just scrolling in, we're gonna say that's about 5 inches. So from there to there, I've got templates to try to make this a little bit easier maybe. It might be a bit too straightforward. I've got a bit more of an angle going here. Okay, so again, trying to scroll this up, scroll in as far as I can to get the whole thing. That's about 2 inches from tip tip of the arm to tip of the leg. I think I'm a bit too close to the edge, and it's crooked. about an inch and a half. Just going to try to rough in. So its body from head to butt is about an inch and a half. This might not be the best way to do this, but this is what I'm trying. That's okay. It's got to be a bit closer to the front here, because this is only 2 inches. So we'll go about a quarter in, and then an inch and a half. That looks too. We'll go there. How are you doing, Death Vader? How are you doing, Asakura? Try to get the basic shapes, and then I'll go back in. Because even for that, this doesn't necessarily look clean. At least thanks to the shadows. It looks like there's some of the stone missing. Sleepy. That's late for you, isn't it? try and clean up some of these indication marks that I made. Just to look at it, these arms are not symmetrical. Like this one looks like it comes down to the hip, kinda, but this one doesn't. Okay, I don't want to get too lost in the detail. I want to try to finish laying this emblem out first. Nobody QC their work in ancient times. Well, I'm sure they were a lot more precise than this. Okay, so that's about 2 inches. I'm gonna put it about 1/4 of an inch from the edge here. I probably won't be able to get too far into the details. That'll probably have to wait for another session. I just want to see if I can lay this out. That looks like it's about 3/4 of an inch tall. And then these splits in it, whatever you would call these, look like they take up about half the shape. It looks like it's about 1/4 of an inch. So, not quite half. The shadows also play a role in this, which is to measure from the outside of the shape, or where it actually cuts in to the rock, to actually try to be consistent with this, measure from the same points. Must be the intern. Okay, so there's 7 cuts into this. I'm gonna try to eyeball this. What did I say it was? It's about 2 inches. So if I go from the center, I think I'm gonna end up having these too close together. This is almost like there should be 3 points: the top, the curve, and then the depth. So if that's the face, or the top, I'd almost say like every 1/4 inch, but that would be too many and too close. I just want a bit of a sharper point on this. Okay, this is going to be kind of confusing. I'm not going to get too deep into this. I just don't want to confuse myself later when I come back to this. Okay, maybe to actually try to draw it out instead of just making indication marks. Okay, so it might not be 100% accurate. I'm trying the best I can here. My eyes can only register so much of this. And there's kind of a fat oval. It's not quite big enough, and it's way off. That's about 1.25 inches. Measure down about 1/4 inch, and then measure up about 1/4 inch to try to keep it semi-centered. I mean, it looks crooked, but the whole thing is crooked. And this looks a bit too straightforward for actually supposed to be being on a angle. This would almost be easier if I was better at digital art, to lay this out and then like push the edges back so it looked like it was laying down. Want to try and put in at least a portion of this bird. So I've got it zoomed in just enough where you can make out the panel indications. Yeah, to stretch and deform it. I'm trying to figure out how I can fix this to actually make it look like it's laying down. I mean, maybe I can fix it when I get into adding shadows and whatnot, so it doesn't look so flat. Now, okay, maybe this symbol and this symbol would actually be nowhere near each other. I just think it would look cool. I'm hoping to get maybe almost up to the crack here. doesn't actually bevel in, it's just a straight line. Okay, and then to try and put in some of this guy. Okay, really quick, let me, because I don't know if that's actually who I think that is. I'm gonna look up a reference really quick for raw. Excuse me. Okay, I think that is who I thought it was. Because that would be, I think, Anubis with the dog head. And then Ra has a bird head. But a lot of these have Ra with a circle above his head. I think to indicate like the sun. But that this one doesn't have a circle. But maybe I should try to make room for that. I do wonder like where this panel of hieroglyph was versus this one. This looks a lot more weathered, so maybe it was actually outside because the details are a bit more subtle, I guess. And there's no detail inside the bird here. It's just a shape versus this one. Where you can see all of the details. It's not just a shape, it's like filled in. Which, I mean, you can maybe see the carve lines, but it looks like it could have been a stamp that they just like stamped it. But then I'm not a carver, stone carver, so what do I know? I'm not sure if this is actually supposed to be on parchment paper or something. I mean, aside from the fact that this is colored in, which I've seen things that say that way back when all of the pyramids were painted, all of the hieroglyphs were painted, but maybe you guys can make that out, that there are hieroglyphs behind it. Okay, so to try to lay out where the orb would be above its head. But of the few references that I just saw, excuse me, this orb has snake, cobra, I think, indications on it. I should probably research this a bit more. But it's too easy to fall down rabbit holes with some of this stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna purposely let this guy um kind of fall off the stone tablet. So it would more or less be just this section that I'm going to try. His arm won't be as outstretched because of the room here. Just switch back to this stone. So that orb was sitting right on top of his head. His arm might still be out too far to actually get it in the space still available here. I don't think there's any indication of raw here. At least not that I can make out. The bird mask looks like it's comes down quite a bit here. Or bird head. I don't think I quite have this long enough. Maybe more like that. But if that comes down lower, then the kind of collar, I guess, has to come down lower too. I'm not sure about this. It doesn't look quite right. I think that's right. I was going to try to bring in this part. I don't know what this part of the mask or whatever would be called. This part here that hangs down. But I think to have it show up here would be bringing it over too far. Excuse me. It almost looks like he's wearing something here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's like a band here. My anatomy looks funky. I just want to try to find another reference because of the two references that I have, he's holding a staff, which he's like holding it out, and I don't have enough room for that. I just want to see if he's always holding the staff. I mean, I could do the eye too, but I think the figure is, I don't want to say cooler, but that's what I want to do, the figure instead of the eye. Because the eye looks cool too. Sorry, I'm just trying to find a reference that will work. See, I'm just afraid I'm not going to be able to use raw on this because it's like he's always holding a staff. isn't necessarily any better, but I'm going to try to use this reference. I'm going to try to flip it though. This looks like it's some kind of metal knick-knack. Okay, maybe I'm seeing things, but I think they actually gave him a little bit of a belly here. Not sure if I made his torso too long. Birdman put on some weight. I think there are other carvings of some of the pharaohs where, okay, maybe not carvings, maybe they're statues, I'm not sure, but they've been depicted with little bellies, like scrawny and a little bit of a belly. I'm not sure which pharaoh that was. I think I'll shorten up the torso here. It's kind of hard to make out here, but I thought the skirts that they wore had a bit more of a belt. I'm not sure what they were actually called, aside from skirts. How can I fix the arm so that I have room for the staff? It looks like it's a thin staff, though. I don't think it doesn't go straight up. It's a bit more of a curve for the part that sticks up. I mean, really, to at least for what I'm figuring, it doesn't make any sense that any of these pharaohs or gods would have any kind of muscle mass. They were royalty and or gods. They didn't have gyms. They sat around and had their servants do things. So it makes sense that they would be scrawny. Yeah, I know. But they didn't have to have muscle mass. They had servants to do everything for them with their scrawny arms. Okay, I'm not sure about the angle of this arm. I'm not sure about the anatomy, the size of the head. Um, that's pretty much the layout, though. I think it needs some twerking or tweaking, whatever, here and there. Um, I'm gonna leave this one here for now, though, and come back to it again next time. Um, if you'd like to see me continue with this one, please make sure that you're following me and that your notifications are turned on so that you're notified for the next time I go live. Um, but other than that, thank you, Asakura, for hanging out. Thank you, um, Darth Vader, for jumping in the chat. But other than that, enjoy the rest of your day. Um, Yeah. Bye.